A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News on MTV Sports. I'm Naveen Majid.
And I'm Krishna Panditharatna. We start out the news. We'll look at your headlines first.
Making headlines this evening, the Bar Association requests the President and the Speaker to respect the court decision regarding the impeachment motion. UNP MP Lakshman Kirialla questions as to how a report which was quashed in court is being taken up for debate in Parliament. Rizana Nafiq executed in Saudi Arabia. The President says that people who dedicate themselves towards the well-being of the country will not go wrong.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has called on all its members to refrain from attending any professional duties on the 10th and 11th of this month in protest against the decision to take up the debate on the impeachment process against the Chief Justice.
Issuing a media release, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka strongly, unequivocally condemns the decision to take up for debate the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice based on the finding of the Parliamentary Select Committee, which was quashed by the Court of Appeal and determined to be unlawful by the Supreme Court. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka also requests the President, the Speaker and leaders of all political parties to honour and respect the determination of the Supreme Court, which is vested with exclusive jurisdiction with regard to constitutional interpretations and determination. The BASL notes that it is seriously concerned about the negative and eroding impact that any action of the legislative and executive to disrespect and dishonour the determination would have on the rule of law.
Welcome back. Now, with the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice due to be taken up for debate in Parliament tomorrow, many government and opposition politicians expressed their views on the matter during media briefings held today.
The Select Committee process did not adhere to the principles of natural justice. The committee convened till 12 midnight and witnesses had been summoned in haste. They produced an ad hoc report. Therefore, we do not accept the charges. We do not accept the committee nor its report. Allegations have been levelled at us saying that the Chief Justice was not given sufficient time to express her views. Did the judiciary provide us time? This is not an issue regarding the independence of the judiciary. The entire country has come to realize that these are the efforts of foreign forces to create instability. While the whole world says that this impeachment motion is wrong, you say that it is correct. The courts have quashed the impeachment report. There is no longer an impeachment. What will be taken up for debate tomorrow is a UPFA report. We need to clearly say this to the entire country. We call on the UPFA report to be thrown out and ensure that justice prevails. The report submitted following our investigation will be taken up for debate in Parliament tomorrow and on the day after. Now, the members of the UNP who are with us in the committee have the opportunity to tell us and highlight if a mistake has been committed. You can prove if we had a grudge against the Chief Justice during the debate tomorrow and on the day after. Death threats are being levelled against Kandaraja, the chairman of the Court of Appeal. This is a country in which assaults and death threats are being levelled against the judiciary. We are willing to sacrifice our lives in our attempts to ensure the supremacy of the judiciary if the judges of the judiciary remain steadfast. The Speaker nor the members of Parliament have a right to distort the determination of the Supreme Court. Even if they don't agree with it, they should accept it. There is no point in speaking about the report. It has already been quashed. The Supreme Court has ruled that this report has no value. Then, how can such a report be taken up for debate tomorrow?
A group of lawyers convened a media briefing in Colombo today on the instructions of the Chief Justice to make clarifications regarding the charges levelled in the impeachment motion.
දැන් කවුරු හරි කියනවා නම් අග්‍රවිනිශ්චයකාරතුමිය කෝටි 25ක මුදලක් රැස් කරගෙන තියෙනවයි කියලා ඇගේ ගිණුම් වල.
If anyone is saying that the Chief Justice had 250 million rupees in a bank account, then it must be one of the charges on the impeachment motion. Instead of levelling such accusations officially in Parliament, these false statements are being spread through some media institutions. The Chief Justice has not collected such a sum of money. If the Chief Justice was involved in tax fraud, then the charge on the impeachment motion must state tax fraud. There isn't a single word in the impeachment motion regarding tax fraud. The Chief Justice's asset statement as at the 31st of March 2012 is also contained in this report. Treasury bills have been listed as well to the cent. Just because the husband is accused, the wife does not become guilty of the irregularity. Whether you look at this through the law, ethics or even through common sense, this cannot be.
ස්වාමි පුරුෂයාට චෝදනා නැගූ පමණින් භාර්යාව විෂමාචාරවලට වරදකරු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක නීතියෙන්වත් සදාචාරයෙන්වත් සාමාන්‍ය සිහි බුද්ධියක් මට්ටමින්වත් ඒක එහෙම වෙන්න බෑ.
මේ ට්‍රිලියම් නිවාස ඒකකය මිලදී අරගෙන තිනවා එහෙම නැත්නම් විකුණලා තිනවා කියන එක. ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ අගවිනිසුරු.
Regarding the purchase of a unit at the Trillium apartment complex, former Chief Justice Sarath Silva appointed a committee which permitted it. This was in 2009. At that time, Shirani Bandaranaike had not even thought of becoming the Chief Justice. There is no connection whatsoever. If anyone is saying that there was no permission granted to purchase this apartment, then it is a blatant lie. It is false, an aberration of the truth. The Butterwala committee appointed by the Supreme Court has allowed the selling of this apartment. The asset statement needs to be submitted on the 31st of March annually. So how can you speak of bank statements which were obtained from after the asset statement was submitted on the 31st of March?
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says no one will be allowed to take away the freedom that was achieved through the sacrifice made by war heroes and the democratic rights of the people. The president points out that war heroes freed the country with the sole objective of making Sri Lanka a safe nation for the children and the future generations.
The president expressed his views at Temple Trees today while addressing a crowd gathered at an event organized to felicitate war heroes. Speaking at the event, the president said that the government is not prepared to reverse the massive development drive undertaken to build a free and unencumbered nation in the face of any force. The president added that while the government has undertaken major initiatives for the security of war heroes and their families, they have also been provided with all facilities to ensure that war heroes live in society with dignity. The president had reiterated that anyone who commits himself for the benefit of the country will not go wrong. Sri Lankan national Rizana Nafik, who was being held at the Dawadmi prison in Saudi Arabia since 2005 after being convicted of killing a 4-month-old infant, was executed at 11:40 am Saudi Arabian time today, 7 years after. Although those responsible for sending her abroad when she was underage have been brought before the law, her death has not erased major question marks over whether or not such incidents will reoccur in the future.
On Monday, News First visited Rizana's home in Muttur and spoke to her mother. This is what she had to say.
She went with the hope of educating her siblings. She sacrificed her own education. Her father was also facing problems at the time. It is amid all these hardships that she went abroad. There is nothing in our house. We are living with much difficulty. She was determined to go overseas. Her father is in hospital because he keeps thinking of her and his pressure has gone up.
Rizana Nafik arrived in Saudi Arabia in April 2005 to work as a housemaid. The 17-year-old was arrested a month later at the house she was working at on the charge of murdering a 4-month-old infant who had been entrusted to her care. The Saudi police claimed that Rizana had killed the infant by choking him during bottle feeding. However, Rizana claimed that the baby had choked on the milk. On the 16th of June 2007, she was sentenced to death by the Dawadni High Court. All appeals had been exhausted by July 2010. After the Supreme Judicial Council ratified the death sentence, President Mahinda Rajapaksa made an appeal for clemency from the Saudi king. Since then, several attempts have been made and negotiations undertaken to secure a stay of execution and a pardon. Rizana was executed today at 11:40 a.m. Saudi Arabian time after several failed pleas for clemency by the Sri Lankan government, including the president and human rights organizations. Minutes after the execution, News First contacted the South Asia Director of Human Rights Watch, Meenakshi Ganguly.
This is a really, really unfortunate development. We had appealed to the Saudi Arabia government to cancel this execution. The President of Sri Lanka had also sent an appeal, and the Saudi Arabian government has acted on the death penalty. Human Rights Watch has always opposed the death penalty in all circumstances because of its inherent cruelty and because it is irreversible. And here is a case where all these arguments hold. This was a 17-year-old girl. We don't know whether she even received a fair trial. She's always said that she was forced to confess. She was a child when this incident occurred. For all these reasons, this is why we keep saying the death penalty has to end worldwide.
Rizana's death and the numerous cases of abuse of housemaids that are being reported from the Middle East place a massive question mark over their safety and security in an alien nation. One can only hope that Rizana, who aspired to educate her siblings and bring a better tomorrow for her family in life, will at least be able to ensure a better tomorrow for her compatriots in death.
Meanwhile, Parliament observed a minute of silence in memory of Rizana Nafiq. The minute of silence was observed following a request made by DNA parliamentarian Sunil Hanunethe during the adjournment debate.
In other local news, the final rites of Kalaniya Pradeshya Sabha member Hasita Madawala, who was murdered, were performed today.
The remains of Hasita Madawala were kept at his residence in Kalaniya till this afternoon. The final rites of the late politician was observed amidst the presence of both opposition and ruling party politicians. His remains were brought to the Kalaniya town following religious observances. The public was given an opportunity to pay their last respects to the late politician at the Kalaniya Pradeshya Sabha as well. Parliamentarian Sudarshini Fernandopoulos read out the President's message of condolence at the occasion. The final rites of Hasita Madawala was performed at the Pilapitiya Public Cemetery.